Where we are now is we're moving into what I would sort of justify, sort of call the second phase of EMIR, where regulators are starting to look not just at who's reporting and who's not reporting, but also what is the quality of the data that's being reported. So all the trade repositories are being asked by ESMA in the coming months to add additional business rules into our technology, which will effectively result in significantly more validation on the data, and where clients are not adhering to ESMA's guidelines around the quality of the data that's being reported, it will result in more rejections back to the firms to analyse.
In addition to bringing in more data, EMIR will also cause more CCP harmonization.
The CCP requirements for CCPs mean that they're all on a standardized, harmonized sort of authorization and supervision setting across Europe and in Switzerland. Because we're not part of the EU, it's also meant that we're having to adapt our national rules to higher and, if you like, better requirements in EMIR. They're sort of mirrored those. For CCPs themselves, we've taken a good, long, hard look, and there are improvements that we can always bring to our governance or to our risk management processes. So those things are positive.
In terms of how trade repository data will be used, however, the positives are less clear.
As an organisation that's regulated by FCA, Bank of England, ESMA, we're confident that the data that we're giving them, the intelligence that they're accessing via our GUI, via our website, gives them all the information that they need. But of course, the side of this that we don't see is how they then use the data within their own systems, because ultimately this is all about systemic risk in the context of EMIR, and MiFID, of course, prior to that is around market manipulation. So they have their own market surveillance systems that they're integrating this data into.
And the increased amount of data will come at a price.
The reverse of the coin is the cost, of course, of regulatory improvements. There's a positive aspect, as I said, but there's also a cost, which means you have to adapt systems, procedures, processes, in some cases revise market guides. So to give you one specific example, we've had to look at the account structure for clearing members and non-clearing members, and we have to offer them what is called segregation, which means that they can separate out their distinct client assets. So that's an option, and there's a cost to that, and there's a cost to us making all those changes in our systems, and there's also a cost for the clearing members and for their clients as well.
Going forward, EMIR could even further change how derivatives are traded.
It's going to be an obvious step, and I think the regulators are quite clear about this, really, that where they want to push the whole market is to really the death of OTC eventually and get everything clearing through an exchange. That's a much safer, a much easier market to regulate, and I think this is an obvious first step towards that goal.
Such a change could also affect derivatives revenues.
I think the revenues, you'll have much contraction on sort of spreads and fees and revenues that you're going to get from your trading, but there is a counter argument and a counter view that actually once things move onto exchange, some people do think, well, then the volumes could actually just balloon because it's all on a market, on a level playing field, and actually some people think the market will grow exponentially after that. So some people aren't scared of that at all. It depends which camp you're in. There are two contrasting views. Liquidity could be an issue, and I think negatives for it are definitely for the smaller players who are struggling to report. So some of the smaller corporates, probably not so much a problem for the bigger banks, but some of the smaller players may well be forced out of the market or decide that it's actually too much hassle and they don't want to partake in the market anymore.